Again, welcome in English literature class. Dear students, chapter number 8, Dover Beach is being taught by Matthew Arnold. Here, open your book at page number 26. Dover Beach. The sea is calm tonight. The sea is calm tonight. The sea is peaceful. The poem opens with a clear description of pure natural loneliness. There is loneliness everywhere. No one is there. Natural loneliness and loveliness as well. The nature is very lovely. The poet shows here in this poem. The poem starts with a clear description of pure natural loveliness. The sight, the scene is very lovely, and there is everywhere calmness, loneliness. The sea at Dover is calm, and the tide is full. The tide is full. The moon lies fair. The sea at Dover is calm, and the tide is full. The moonlight is flooding the whole strait, flooding the whole gulf of Dover. However, upon the gulf, on the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The poet says, however, the moonlight shines dimly on the French coast of the British Channel, and it soon disappears. It soon disappears. The cliffs, rocks of England stand glimmering and washed out in the tranquil bay. The cliffs of England. Here, the poet comprises here. The moonlight shines dimly on the French coast of the British Channel, and it soon disappears. The cliffs of England, the rocks of England stand firmly bathed in the light of the moon. These cliffs extend up to the calm strait. These cliffs, these rocks extend up to the calm strait. Come to the window. Sweet is the night air. Only from the long line of spray, where the sea meets the moon blanched land, listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles which the waves draw back and fling. At their return up the high strand, begin and cease. Cease means stop, and then again begin with tremulling musical sound. Tremulous, set a dense, slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. Then the poet addresses his lover. And asks her to come to the window and look at the scene of Dover Beach. He asks her to come to the window and look at the scene at Dover Beach. The atmosphere of the night is very pleasant. A long line of water drops rises up from the sea to touch the land bathed in the moonlight. A long line of water drops rises up from the sea to touch the land bathed in the moonlight. Then the poet then asks his beloved to listen to the harsh sound of the pebbles as they strike against the shore when the waves advance. When the waves retreat, go back, they throw the pebbles on the sandy shore of the sea. The rise and fall of the waves in a set pattern. Rise, fall, rise, fall. The rise and fall of the waves in a set pattern produces a slow, trembling kind of music, which brings in a note of melancholy, which brings in a note of sadness, which is everlasting. In other words, the slow music of waves makes the poet gloomy, makes the poet sad. He is in fact in a sad mood, and the waves only reflect his state of mind. In fact, in a sad mood, poet is in sad mood, and the waves only reflect his state of mind. Sophocles, long ago, a Greek dramatist of the 5th century BC. Sophocles, long ago, heard it on the Aegean Sea, means the sea between Greece and Asia Minor. Heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. The poet is reminded of Sophocles, a great Greek dramatist who had a similar experience. Whatever the poet is experiencing is at this time same thing. The same thing Sophocles, the Greek dramatist, experienced at that time, in his time. Long ago, Sophocles listened to the sound of the ocean of the Aegean Sea that lies between Greek and Asia Minor, and he too found the note of sadness. As he found the sadness in the rise and fall of the water, he too found the note of sadness in that sound. That sound reminded him of all the wild confusion and distress prevailing in human life, and he gave expression to it in his tragic plays. When he wrote his tragic plays, he elaborated the things in it. Like Sophocles, Arnold, the poet, too is reminded of eternal human misery as he listens to the slow sound of the ocean water. Thus, both of them had same thoughts in a similar situation. The sea of faith was once too at the full and round earth's shore, lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled, but now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges, drear and naked shingles of the world. The poet says that just as the sea is full now, once upon a time the world was full of faith. Full of faith. Everyone has the faith in God. Same poem, same theme. you study in the poem Crossing the Bar. The sea here. Once upon a time, the world was full of faith. Faith in religion, faith in God. The sea here becomes a symbol of faith. Once this sea had encircled the whole world. Now this sea is fast retreating, leaving behind bare and naked shingles. Shingles means, students, small rounded pebbles on the beach. Now this sea is fast retreating, leaving behind bare and naked shingles as the wind of the night begins to blow. In other words, the religious faith is declining. Important line. The religious faith is declining. The world is devoid of faith. The world has no interest in it. Total divide of faith, and what remains is spiritual crisis in the shape of doubts, confusions, and uncertainties suggested by the naked pebbles. As there are naked pebbles at the shore, near the shore, same condition here there are everywhere doubts, confusion, and uncertainties here in the world. The harsh reality is symbolized by the naked and dreary pebbles, dreary, dull. The harsh reality are symbolized by the naked and dreary pebbles on the seashore leaves mankind sad and dejected, sad and hopeless. Here the last stanza, the poet says, "Ah, love, let us be true to one another, for the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help or pain, and we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night." The poet says here, very good lines. You can say the theme, it is the theme and the idea of the poet. The poet is aware of the fact that the world that lies before them is like a land of dreams, is beautiful and charming, full of newness and variety. However, this seemingly beautiful world has in it no joy. He says, the poet says, very important lines, students. The world that lies before them, before the people, like a land of dreams. This is the land of dreams, is beautiful and charming, attractive, full of newness and variety. However, this seemingly beautiful, it seems only appearance may be deceptive, This seemingly beautiful world has in it no joy, no love, no light of knowledge or any certainty about anything. It is devoid of peace. There is no peace everywhere here. It has no remedy for any pain, no cure, no remedy for any pain or sorrow. So it is difficult to be loyal to anybody or anything. So it is difficult to be loyal. So it is difficult to be loyal, faithful to anybody or anything. Even then the poet asks his beloved that they should both be true to each other. Though everywhere is treachery, uncertainty, sorrow, pain everywhere, even then the poet asks his beloved that they should both be true and both be true to each other. In this world, human beings are like soldiers. The poet says, human beings are like soldiers of two rival armies, opponent, on a battlefield. On a battlefield, fighting each other in total darkness. Total darkness. They do not know whether they are killing friends or foes. Killing friends or foes, enemies. Thus, the poet compares all human strife, struggle, and exertion to an aimless, confused battle. Aimless, confused battle. Without faith, human beings are totally confused. If we have no faith in religion, if we have no faith in God, it means we will always be confused. Without faith, human beings are totally confused. They have become ungodly, skeptical, and materialistic, and are thus in endless misery. In his vision of the tragic and alienated condition of man, Arnold, the poet, comes very close to modern poets. No poet earlier than him has made such a harsh statement about the human conditions as this. He says, and we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, with where ignorant armies clash by night. Dear students, this is the end of the poem. If you have any problem, please ask me if there is any hesitation. Thank you so much, students.